there, this is Lindsay with the North End Organic Nursery, and today I want to talk to you about fall lawn care, specifically for your organic lawn. A few of the things we're going to talk about today is overseeding into your cool season grasses. After a long hot summer, there's a lot of damage that can have occurred from either insects or drought or just too much heat on a cool season grass. Also going to talk about the importance of fertility, and it's super important to make sure that in order to have a really nice green lawn in the springtime, we put in the effort and investment now. Before we actually get into applying grass seed and compost, what we're going to do is mow down the grass as low as we can so we can make sure that we're not going to be putting down both compost and grass seed on tops of the blades and getting as close to the soil as possible. After you've mowed down the grass short, I'm going to take a rake and we're going to rough up the area, try to remove some of the dead grass, and also kind of create a loosened seed bed. So when we put down our grass seed, it's not just sitting on top of either dead grass or a hard ground. So I'm just going to take whatever rake I have handy. I'm going to use this guy today. A landscape rake would work fine. Just make sure it's stiff enough to actually get in there, not just scrape across the surface. So now that we've got the area mowed down, raked up, gotten rid of most of any kind of thatch or dead grass, I'm going to put down some grass seed. So, as you can kind of see in this area in this yard, this is kind of a shady area. It does get some direct sun, but I'm going to say that for at least over half the day, it's fairly shady. The particular type of grass I'm going to use here is a fine fescue mix. It's got a mixture of sheep fescue, red fescue, chewing fescue, hard fescue, and it's a fine bladed grass that will use that area on its blade to actually deal with the shady times a lot better than a thicker bladed grass. If this was a full sun area, my grass of choice is a tall fescue, preferably a rhizomatous tall fescue so that it's self-patching. Generally speaking, depending on how much lawn you are trying to cover, I recommend for bare dirt 1 pound per 100 square feet. Now this area is obviously not bare dirt. This is just sort of dead, needs help grass. I'm going to reduce that by a lot. So I say try to take a percentage of what the thinness of your lawn is and then multiply that by that factor. So if I only have 10% of this area that really needs covered, then maybe I'm going to do 1 pound per 1,000 square feet instead of 1 pound per 100 square feet. So I'm going to call this about a 10%. It's not full on dead, it just needs some help. But if it was bare dirt, I'd be putting it on about 10 times heavier. So I'm going to take my grass seed and I'm going to sprinkle it out. You can use a spreader. And this is what, about a 4x4, so about 16 square feet. So it's not going to take a whole lot of grass seed to really be effective in this area. Just make sure you got nice overall coverage. Now that the grass seed is down, there's a couple of things that we want to make sure happens to it. It needs to germinate. These cooler temperatures are fantastic for germination, but birds like to get at grass seed, and it's also sometimes still hard when we have our hotter days without a lot of naturally occurring rain to keep them moist. That's where putting down a good compost on top of your grass not only helps to make the grass less able to be eaten by birds, but it also helps to keep the moisture on the grass and also gives them that initial food that they need to grow. Compost is the best fertilizer, hands down, but in this particular situation it also helps to add some water holding capacity and a good seed bed for these grass seed. Now some people like to put down a little bit of compost ahead of time. You can also do that. There's really no exact way to do this. This is just how we're going to do it today. So I'm going to take, I've got Gardener and Bloom Harvest Supreme here. Now I like this particular type of compost. It's great for vegetable gardens, but it's fantastic for grass too because it has a nice amount of chicken compost in it. Chicken compost is naturally high in nitrogen. Grass, as green as it is also a very much nitrogen lover. So I'm going to cut open my bag here. Take some of this nice stuff. I'm going to spread it all around. Probably could have done this in a more graceful way, but whatever. Now I'm looking for about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch, or 1/8 to 1/4 inch, however direction you want to do that. We don't want to have too thick of a layer of compost on top of our grass seed, because then it will not allow it to come up and germinate very well if you bury it too deeply. However, we want it to be enough so it can hold that moisture down and give it that seed bed. Remember, kind of the rule of thumb for seeds is you want to put them under soil about 2 times the thickness of that seed, and that'll still allow them to have the energy to pop through the soil and have that nice, delicious seed bed. So here, I've got pretty well covered grass. You can see a little bit of this goes a long way. If this was much thinner area that I had to put a lot more grass seed down because it was bare dirt, I would be putting down more as well. But this looks pretty good to me. This is gonna be a nice little patched area of grass. The next most important thing to remember is watering. So until we start having rain coming down naturally from the sky, keeping this area wet is going to be critical until it is fully germinated and you have a nice little stand of grass. If you put down the grass seed, water it once or twice, and it starts to germinate and then dries out, you will have a failed grass seeding attempt. So, opposite of what we normally say with grass, we normally say water deep but infrequent. Now we're going to be telling you water frequently but not very much. We don't want it to float away, wash away if you have a hillside, and we want it to stay consistently moist until it is fully germinated, and then you can start holding back the water. This is another reason why doing it in the fall is so nice, is because as we go into our fall and winter months, we don't need to worry so much about irrigation. Nature does it for us. So just during the first few weeks while you're starting to get it germinated, make sure that you are watering it frequently but not too much. So now for the final step, whether you're doing a lawn renovation or not, always remember that you never want to put your lawn to sleep hungry. It's going to be doing most of its eating, consuming, root growth, and top growth in the fall months. And if you can remember around here, often our lawns stay green straight through December. So just because it's getting cooler and you're not going to mow as much, don't forget to make sure your lawn stays fed. This is a great product to put down in the fall. This is Dr. Earth Supernatural Lawn Food, and it's a 905. Lots of really good nitrogen to keep this green growth going. But because it's in an organic, natural form, it's going to go down into the soil in the form of a protein. The plants are going to eat it slowly as the soil microbes consume it and release it back to the plant. This is the way that lawns are supposed to eat. We're not supposed to be feeding them energy drinks in order to get them to grow, which is what synthetic fertilizers do. Be careful, some of your quote-unquote natural programs out there are loaded with synthetic fertilizers. You have to read the labels. We've read the label on this Dr. Earth Supernatural Fertilizer, and it's fantastic stuff. Lots of really good, high-quality ingredients that you can recognize, and they also inoculate it with a whole bunch of beneficial microorganisms that act as both the digestive system in the lawn and the immune system in the lawn. So this is a fantastic way to feed your lawn. We recommend this both in the springtime and in the fall, and there's other things you can do mid-season, but this is probably the most important thing you can put down for the entire year. So I'm going to take my Dr. Earth fertilizer here, put it in my spreader. Well, one of the things I want to talk to you guys about spreader settings though. Almost every time somebody comes and buys a bag of fertilizer from us, they always ask, what's the spreader setting that I should set it on? It all depends on how quickly you walk. I recommend that you set your spreader between low and medium, walk your entire property, and if you have leftovers, go ahead and go over it again, maybe hit some spots that look like they could use a little extra love, and then call it good. The last thing you want to do is run out of your fertilizer halfway through the lawn. Because this is completely natural and organic, you're not going to have any areas, if you accidentally dump it out onto your lawn, you mess up on the spreader settings, it cannot burn. This is something that is completely natural and is a soil food. So now we're going to get it loaded up. Make sure that your spreader is closed before you dump your fertilizer. So that's it. That's as easy as it gets. You can do your own lawn renovations in your own backyard using completely organic techniques. Every investment that you put into your lawn here in the fall will pay off a lot next spring. Don't wait until spring to start trying to fix the problems that have happened from this summer. Do it now. If you have any other questions or are interested in any of the products you've seen in this video, please come to see us at the North End Organic Nursery, 3777 West Chinden Boulevard in Garden City. Thanks so much.